Rabbi Schneier, neither the United States nor Israel is pushing the Palestinian issue to the front burners. So how do we expect anything to go on with Saudi Arabia?
Well, first, it's, as Afi Bushinsky said, it's very much the elephant in the room, and it will be addressed. But let's remember that Joe Biden, when he was a candidate for president of the United States, he referred to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia as a pariah, and that if elected, he will punish them for the Khashoggi affair. But today, there are practical considerations. There's a new realism, particularly since Russia invaded and attacked Ukraine. And here in the United States, we're suffering from lack of oil production, from rising prices at the gas pumps. And President Biden has chosen to transform the pariah back into a partner. We do have a very distinguished history and relationship with
so
Saudi
let me ask you, will the pariah help him now?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Will the Saudis help Biden now?
Will they help him? I believe so. I think that Saudi Arabia needs the United States. Saudi Arabia needs Israel. And the $64,000 question when it comes to the Palestinians, do you follow the UAE Bahrain model, where there were relations established with Israel despite there not being a resolution with the Palestinians, or do you follow more of the model that has been championed by Saudi Arabia and Qatar? Look, I was present at the Peace to Prosperity Conference in Manama back in 2018, and the Saudis were there, the Qataris were there, the Americans were there, the Bahrainians were there, UAE was there, Israel was there, and the only one who wasn't there, were the Palestinians. And I have to believe that there was some frustration on the part of all partners, including the Saudis, when it came to the Palestinians choosing to boycott that conference. So, in the Middle East, in this region, you never know how things will evolve. Palestinian issue is on the table, but there's a new realism and there are new practical considerations. And there needs to be a global recalibration, particularly in light of Russia's attacking the Ukraine. So hold on to your seats and let's see what's going to be in the future.
Aviv, is there any Israeli government in any way that will advance the Palestinian issue, or this is just something that cannot happen?
I think that most Israelis, at least at the moment, agree that we have a problem, that the major problem is not the internal politics, which is a huge problem, but it's mainly the partner and the ability of the partner's leader to deliver, meaning Abu Mazen. And I think that at this moment, the Israelis prefer to control the conflict, but not to solve it, because you need a solid partner in order to solve it. We had bad experience with his predecessor, with the Yasser Arafat. So I think that there's no one is now really pushing to solve the issue, but the issue, as I said, exists, and Gaza is evolving.
How long could this issue exist and still Israelis would expect to, have great relations with Saudi Arabia and other countries?
It's a good question. Depends who you ask. First of all, Netanyahu thinks that bypassing the Israeli-Palestinian direct issue and going to the Abraham Accords, etc., then maybe the pressure or the backup that the Palestinians receive from those countries will be lesser, and then it'll be easier to solve the issue. But I think that the major problem at this moment that we don't have a strong political party or strong government that can decide whether to do A, B, C, or even take any risks. And I go back to the disengagement and other really controversial acts, but still, they had the political power to deliver. At this moment, when everything is so fragile and we're facing fifth elections and who knows, maybe sixth and seventh, I don't see any leader that can deliver at this moment from both sides.
Rabbi Schneier, I want to ask you about the Democratic agenda, Biden's agenda. So Palestinians on the back burner, Saudi Arabia, it's not a pariah anymore. It's a steep price to pay, isn't it?
I don't think it's a steep price to pay. I think the Democratic Party is a very centrist party here in the U.S. There are a few exceptions, and I will emphasize and accentuate there are a few exceptions. The way that President Biden spoke, not only as the President of the United States, but as the leader of the Democratic Party, that the bond between the U.S. and Israel is unshakable. He used the term that it's bone deep. And I must, comment on what Aviv said. I think he's spot on about not having a partner, to negotiate and to speak with. I know the frustration that so many of us felt in 2018 in Manama, where all these great leaders, all these great countries from the GCC and Israel came together. There was an economic plan, $50 billion plan that was put on the table. The Saudis and other GCC countries realized that they would have skin in the game. They would have to work with the Palestinians. And imagine the frustration. We're here to try and resolve and to discuss ways of moving forward, and there isn't anyone to talk to, let alone the leader of the Palestinian Authority. So I think that more and more people are coming to this conclusion, to this realization. And even in Saudi Arabia, they have a unique opportunity because of who they are to have a profound influence and impact on the Palestinian leadership and to help bring about a resolution between Palestinians and the State of Israel.
I must add to what Rabbi Schneier said, that we have to also bear in mind that the current Democratic Party, or the i.e. Biden, with his very low approval rates, I think 33% or even less, I don't think that he has the power to deliver. And if you go back to the Clinton era, when I was working with Netanyahu, I remember it was Jamie Rubin, who worked for Madeleine Albright, the Secretary of State. He came here and he said that both leaders should bang their heads together. And at that time, the American administration had the power to try at least enforce the two leaders, the Israeli leader, the Palestinian leader, to try and come with some kind of a resolution. At this moment, I don't see Biden has the ability to do it. And you see what's going on in Ukraine, and I don't see the number one superpower is able to change the current events.
Right. Rabbi Schneier, the Democratic Party...
I can say something. I'm going to respectfully disagree, because this mission on the part of President Biden for the American people, it's about economics. It's about going to the second largest oil producer in the world to increase their production, to help the average American at the gas pumps. This attack of Russia on Ukraine came out of the blue. Unfortunately, it has impacted negatively on oil production, on world markets. And if President Biden can pull this off in terms of a new frontier with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, I think his popularity is only going to grow.
Right. I should say that we're watching the Maccabiah games over there. The opening ceremony is about to begin very shortly, and of course we'll be there live. I want to thank you very much, Rabbi Marc Schneier in New York, Aviv Bushinsky here in the studio. The next thing will be this opening ceremony at the Maccabiah. We'll see President Biden there, also President of Israel, and the Israeli Prime Minister Lapid.
827 medals.
And these are the lovely pictures from the stadium in Jerusalem.
Come in here, South Africa.
So this is it for my part. Stay tuned for Kalev Ben David, who's going to continue the special coverage here on i24 News, the Biden's visit to the Middle East.